Hi guys, today I've got Byron with me, who's going to talk about studying at a UK university. Hi Byron.
Hello.
So I've got a couple of questions that I would have thought will be helpful to those who are either starting their university in October or are thinking about going to university in the UK. And specifically, we're talking about a computing-related degree, since you're a software development student. So please tell us about your course that you're studying on and various details about the modules that you're studying and what kind of jobs graduates might be expected to apply for.
Sure. So my course is for bachelor's in software engineering. The modules we do in the first year, we do a bit of a mix. We do fundamentals of programming, databases, introduction to artificial intelligence, as well as web dev. Those are all mostly introductory, so sort of from the ground up. If you've never studied those before, they'll teach you everything you know to get started. For our second year modules, we do mobile app development, as well as a few different options. I picked large-scale data processing, object-oriented development, and data structures and operating systems. It's my second year modules. For postgraduate jobs, there's quite a few options in the computing field. Varied companies are exactly what you want to do. I suppose quite a common one is sort of going from a degree to a junior developer at either a local company or wherever you have the opportunity to go to realistically.
So you mentioned mobile development. Is this Android or iOS or both?
This is Android. I think it's done with Java to my knowledge. So it's Android
Okay.
as far as I'm aware.
Cool. So then why did you decide to get a computing-related degree? Because as we know, it is possible to get into industry even without a degree. So are there any advantages, would you say?
For me, I think there's a lot better job security if you have a degree. It's something that'll sort of make you stand out compared to people that don't have one. As well as I think a lot of more advanced standards are easier when taught formally instead of trying to teach it yourself. It gives you sort of a better base to learn things, in my opinion. So that's the main advantage is getting a degree, but there are other things you can sort of pick up as well.
Okay. And what do you like most about studying at university level then, compared to, say, something like high school or college?
So I think it's a lot more flexible with how you can learn things. It's a lot more reliant on yourself, how you want to go about doing things. So with sixth form, it's quite strict for how it was. You'd have sort of clear worksheets to get through or exactly what you had to get done in lessons. With university, you can do a lot more research on your own, sort of work to your own schedule to get things done. To me, I find that a lot easier because it's more flexible.
Nice. And similarly, what do you dislike most about university?
I think the main thing that caught me off a little bit, and it's caught some other people off I know, is with courseworks, having them all come in at a very similar time.
Right.
It's a bit overwhelming if you're not used to that. Having everything come at once can be a bit stressful in the last week. That would be the most jarring bit of university, I suppose.
So having lots of deadlines in the same week, I suppose.
Yeah, that's sort of the hardest to adjust to, I think, or for me at least, because it's a bit different.
Yeah, I mean, it does create a lot of pressure, and we do try to kind of move things around a bit. But then there are so many modules to worry about. It doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
So along the kind of same lines, I suppose, any practical advice to someone who's just started their first year at uni or about to start in October?
I think learning to research things well is a very important skill, knowing how to find good sources and realize what you need to know for your modules. I think to do sort of really well and like really get good marks and things, you need to know exactly what you need to work on effectively. So learning how to research something, take notes well, and actually practice that, I think that's really important to get down. So you're able to actually improve on things rather than just taking notes, not needing it, or missing things or trying to avoid things because you're not familiar with it. I think that comes back to sort of hinder you in the long run.
So learning how to learn effectively,
Essentially, yeah.
and being able to find stuff online, I suppose, as well, because there's only a limited number of face-to-face sessions
Mm,
that we have at university, and everything else is what we call independent, guided learning, I think.
mm.
What about other aspects not related to just academic things? So maybe things like finances and other bits that we don't really always think about.
Oh yes. So generally keeping a good schedule outside of uni, trying to maintain a good sleep schedule, that'll help. Budgeting, you want to sort of know for your food bills and everything else, whether you're catered or not catered, are quite important. As well as managing people, managing like well people you're living in dorms, make sure you can sort of get on well and it all sort of works out. Other things you want to try and just hope goes well. Just be able to get on with people and it'll make things a lot easier.
Mm. How do you find the sort of workload slash resting time balance? Work-life balance, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, all in all, I think the first year went quite well for sort of rest, balance, and actual work. I didn't feel too stressed at any particular point. Maybe the first week when things were due in, I recall one module sort of end goal was changed a little bit at the last minute, which I know threw me off and a few other people as well. But mostly it's been quite all right because I tried to get out of the way early, and I know everyone that did that's also been quite all right. So for the most part, if you do get on with it and don't try and avoid the projects, you'll be quite all right, I think.
Mm. And what about lectures and tutorials? What's your preference?
Um,
Because
I,
lectures are sort of more theoretical based, and basically the lecturer is talking most of the time, and tutorials being more practical based, where you do most of the work.
mm, I'm quite happy with either. I think it depends what the actual practical could be. Some of them are, I think, can be a bit more useful than others. Some programming ones might just be going with something very basic you already know that's useful, while lecture covering something more advanced that's actually
Mm,
good to be explained to you, because sometimes reading it online isn't as useful as having someone go through it with you that you can actually see and ask questions. But
right.
on the other hand, some practical lessons are actually very useful because you can actually work with other people on something compared to doing it on your own. And it becomes a lot clearer like that. So I think it does depend what it is. So I don't really have much of a preference. It just depends what we're actually doing either.
Mm. Speaking of programming, what was your first programming language, and what is your current programming language? I wonder if they're the same.
No, it's changed actually. I started computer science at GCSE and A level. So we started with Python in our sixth form secondary school. But now, of course, at uni we do Java mainly. So I sort of switched to using primarily Java because that's what I'm trying to work on as I that have the most experience.
Mm.
So that's been my sort of main programming language now.
And what language would you recommend to someone who's never done programming before?
I think Python's a very good starting place. It does a lot of the work for you, and I think it's a bit less intimidating if you haven't programmed before. I think logically and syntactically, it can be a bit clearer to read than Java or some languages like C Sharp or C++. So I think it's quite a good starting point if you're new to programming.
Mm. What about JavaScript?
Uh, JavaScript, no, I don't have as much experience with it. I did a bit of it at A level and a bit more for web dev, but it's another quite good starting point for quite simple applications. It's quite easy to use. I think I know some people dislike it because it has a few sort of quirks of how things are done, but
Yeah, it's got some very interesting
yeah,
things if you sort of start digging.
yeah. So but yeah, I mean, sort of whatever people prefer that helps them sort of grasp logic. So I think once you get a lot of general logical concepts, you'll find they're quite transferable. So it does make things quite easy to jump between some languages. So
Yeah, actually, that's right. Once you've learned one programming language, it's much easier to then switch to another one. especially if they're of the same paradigm.
Mm.
For example, if they're both object-oriented, then the switch is reasonably easy. Speaking of languages and stuff like that, what kind of projects are you working on outside of university?
So for my large project at the moment that I've been sort of working on over quarantine is a tool I've made to download music and albums
Okay,
for free. So the way
that
it works,
sounds interesting.
yeah. So the way it works the way it works effectively is it's all written in Java. It has these Java effects for the UI. It has a parser for a few large online music databases, queries them, builds up all the albums it can find, and you can select one, find the YouTube songs, find the best match, compare it with a sample, download it, and apply all the proper metadata. So if you play it in like iTunes or something, it has the artist, the album art, and so on. So that's been my
Nice.
big project lately. Thanks.
So how are you planning to evolve it? Or is it more of a mini project?
So I've added like more features to it, like quite compatible settings, themes, trying to make a nice UI. It has a download client built in with history, management, and all of that. In future, I'd quite like to take it and make it as part of a larger music client, so something a bit akin to this, say Spotify, where you can just select a song, play it without having it on your computer, but doing
Hmm.
alternative sources. So I'd ideally like to sort of build it into something like that using some of the same functions, but that's sort of in time to come because I'm still working on it at the moment, but hopefully in time.
Is it open source?
Yeah, it's on my GitHub at the moment. GitHub.
Cool. Could you send me the link so I can then post it on in the video description so that people can have a look?
Yeah, certainly. It's still a work in progress. So yeah, post that.
Cool. Yeah, we should do that. What about, so this is kind of an abstract question, I suppose. Something that you learned at university that you cannot learn anywhere else.
Um, I think I think some general things to learn at university, a bit specific to university, but you might get a similar thing ever, I say jobs. So I think the ability to switch between quite different tasks that are university specific and researching
Right. Yeah.
is more unique to university. Obviously, with other jobs and things, you're going to need to switch between tasks, but I think with university, learning how you manage quite hard tasks or quite different things on the fly is has been quite unique to that. I mean, just from random smaller jobs or A levels and sixth form, it was not to the same extent, and
Hmm.
you do at university is quite different. So I think that's quite a unique experience, and it's quite a good skill to have to be able to adapt on the fly.
Yeah, I guess when you're in the industry, you're essentially focused on a specific job because you have a task to complete by a specific deadline. And then you're full-time working on that specific task. But when you're at university, you've got so many different things to worry about,
Yeah.
different modules and different assignments. One module could be design a 3D model, and then the other module could be write a program. Quite different tasks.
Absolutely.
And just to wrap up this discussion, so after graduating, any software companies would you consider working for, and specifically why?
So I think I'd be quite open to any software company where I think I could get a new skill from, realistically, if it isn't something I'm less familiar with. I think that's quite good to build up an experience after I leave. Ideally, depending on the grade or where I can do work experience, I'd like to try and aim for bigger companies, say Microsoft, IBM, Dell, something like that. Some people
Mm,
have good experience with a large company of good reputation. I think that would be very valuable somewhere to go. So that'd be my ideal goal. Obviously, depends how things go and such.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that is pretty much it for today. Thank you for joining me today, Byron. And thank
Yeah.
you, the audience, for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.